going on, everybody? Welcome to the Life Jacket Podcast, where we talk about topics help you get through the ways of life. My name is AJ.
And I'm Bless.
And you know what we do before every episode, we always start for the win of the week. So my win of the week is I just came back from San Francisco. So one of my good friends, Christina, she got married to her husband. It was really, really nice. Really enjoyed it. I didn't realize how cold San Francisco was. It's like in a peninsula. So it's always like 65 degrees like all year round except September. So that was pretty cool. How about you?
Actually, speaking of traveling, I just got back from Jamaica.
Cool.
It's nice and hot. But yeah, definitely a good time. Went for one of my cousin's birthday, but it was kind of more like a family reunion. Wanted to get the family out traveling and have a different type of experience than just, staying in the States. So it was definitely a good time. But let's get into our topic for today. The topic is comparison is a confidence killer, how to stay in your own lane. And this is going to really focus on how nowadays it's so easy to see how everybody else is doing in life. With social media, there's so many different types of social media. You have Instagram, you have Snapchat, you have TikTok, and everybody's posting, everybody's on their stories showing what their life is like and what it's supposed to be like, whereas we don't know what it really is. And so going into our topic, it's very hard to not want to compare yourself to everything you see. It's not like we're watching a movie, we're watching people's so-called reality. And so the psychology of comparison, it's based off of people evaluating themselves, their life, their opinions off of other people. It's like saying, hey, well, I'm 33 years old and I don't have kids yet, but I see my friends that are 30 under that have kids or family or something like that, or in the military, hey, I've been in for X amount of years and I don't have this rank yet. But we all have our different journeys and we all have our different ways of life that we're going to be talking about. And mostly it's really focused upon the social media because everyone kind of acts like their life is perfect. No one wants to say what's actually behind closed doors. So that's what our topic is going to be about. And we'll let AJ give it a little bit of.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that, I've dealt with too in other people's like how social media like amplifies like insecurities. Like if you're really, really insecure about something yourself, don't go on TikTok and Instagram because there's going to be, you got those funny videos and people that are like, somebody's talking about themselves and people might be in the comments flaming them up and all that stuff. And so like, you got to be just really work on your confidence in yourself because like insecurities will really get to somebody. That's why you see a lot of people like getting these insane surgeries. Like I saw somebody getting a guy getting a height surgery.
Yeah.
Like literally because he got bullied for being short his whole life. So it's just like, sometimes you really, social media can really get to your insecurities you allow them to. So you just got to kind of filter like what you're watching on these different apps.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, because especially if you're already feeling bad about something, don't keep watching something that's absolutely the opposite of which you wish your life was like. And so signs, we always want to identify these things. We talk about it. We want to identify so that we can continue moving forward. So one of the signs is feeling behind in life. Like I kind of spoke earlier, everyone wants to say, well, you're this age, you're supposed to be having X, Y, Z. And then you're seeing it on social media and you may not be there because you have your own journey. And that's when you're starting to feel behind. And it's an insecurity as well as a sign because your life is your life and you can't compare it to someone else's in a negative way. You could just only do better and get to where you want to be. Any other signs?
Yeah. I think one of the bigger signs is like constant self-doubt, like after scrolling, like say I forgot to scroll, but you'll keep scrolling afterwards. Just like, wow, I feel like awful about myself. And it's because you're just constantly scrolling on social media and watching all this negative stuff. And so even for me, I've had to kind of switch my content to like positive content because like last thing you want to do is like feel like you're bed rotting and then you see all this negative content and you feel worse about yourself. So really that's a sign too, is like just when you've been on social media for a while and then you're like, wow, I feel just awful about myself. Like I don't like myself. So that's definitely one too.
And another one is minimizing your wins. Obviously we don't do that here because we talk about win of the weeks every single week, every single episode, regardless if they're small or large. But you might have a win in your life that you're not really thinking of it as a win because you're looking at somebody else's success. But every win is a win and every failure is a failure that can be transformed into a win. So if you see yourself having something positive in your life and you're not accepting and excited about it, think of that as a sign if you're comparing it to somebody else.
Yeah, I think too. Just even one more kind of like sign you're stuck in comparison mode is really like a lot of self doubt, and
Mhm.
like I said, that comes from other things earlier, but just like self doubt, like you're always self doubting yourself all the time. And I think a lot of that just comes from comparison. You're just constantly in a comparison of what other people are doing, which kind of like goes into like our second statement, is right? The cost of comparison
Oh yeah.
and what it does. Like comparison can really destroy your self esteem and your mental health. Like it's coming from somebody who struggled with that. Like when you're always comparing like what somebody else has, the vacations they're doing, if they have a house or not, if they're married,
Mhm.
that can get to anybody.
Oh yeah.
And so that constant just comparing of, how the lifestyle somebody lives and where they're at in their success in life, it doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. It's just maybe you're just not there yet. And one thing I've had to always do too is like when I always caught myself comparing is, I don't know what this person did to get where they went to. They may have been putting in years of work. They might
Mhm.
have got a family inheritance, which they have a lot of money. You never know. But regardless, you can't compare your life to someone else's because that's
Yeah.
just not fair for you. So
Mhm.
that's one big thing. Like that's one big thing that I've known is that for your mental health and your self-esteem, just do your best to not compare yourself to, somebody else's life.
Yeah. And even caveat off of that a little bit, because like you said, like maybe somebody had an inheritance, or maybe somebody's been working on whatever they've been working on for a long period of time, and they can also create like unrealistic expectations. We can see, 26-year-old, 25-year-old, whatever, that lives in, some country that's making a lot of money overseas or something, and their family inherited that, and we're like, oh man, I'm not that age anymore and I'm not even making half of that. Whereas we don't know the story behind everybody, and whether or not it was a hand me down or whether it was they put in the work, we don't know and we can't compare. We can only just kind of look at ourselves and progress in our way instead of, hoping that we were that way, instead of just, appreciation what we have.
Yeah. And I think the next thing is like it creates unrealistic expectations. Like sometimes when you're comparing yourself, you're creating expectations that aren't even there. Like they're just
Mhm.
very, unrealistic. It's like, you compare yourself to if you're in high school, right? You compare your life to like the best high school basketball player. Like you never played basketball in your life. Or like say you do play basketball, you're not that good. Like why are you comparing your life to his when he's just a better player than you? He's put in more practice, put in more years, he's more talented.
Mhm.
And that'll start messing with your self-confidence and your self-doubt. But it's like that's unrealistic. Like if this basketball player is 6'8", 230, averaging like 25, 26. Like, why would you compare yourself to that? It's unrealistic, especially if you're like 6 foot
Mhm.
and maybe you're not as talented, not as good. Like, why would you compare yourself to them? And so, I think the unrealistic expectations sometimes gets to a lot of people when you're comparing your life to someone else's. It's not there.
Yeah. And the illusion of perfection online, it's crazy because we're watching everything from they call them reels. It's like watching a movie and seeing what's it when you the trailer, right? So when you watch a trailer, mostly every trailer is like, oh my God, I want to watch that movie. But I'm pretty sure there's movies out there you guys have seen where the trailer gives you this and you want to go see it. It gets you in, it reels you in, but then the movie was trash, right? And that's kind of how people's lives could possibly be, because reels are what, a minute, 30 seconds long. And all you're seeing is the successful part of their life or the positive part of your life. I'll give you an example. Let's think about somebody who works, 80 hours a week or something along those lines, and they're getting yelled at their boss and they're making all these phone calls and rejections, and no one wants to really see that. But we see that one weekend where they're out in Dubai or something having a good time, and that's their whole social media. Well, there's a difference because all we're seeing is the positive things, and now we're comparing ourselves to only what was good and not what was bad. And I think, the online part is it's hard. It's hard because you don't know what is real. They call it a reel, but is it real? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Online isn't a real place, I don't think. People just have like put on this fake facade, and everybody wants to be perfect on there, but nobody's perfect. So I think the biggest thing for, just if you're listening right now is like, don't look at somebody's life online and think, because you see them doing all these things, like they're not battling their own traumas or insecurities, and they're not going through stuff at work and their life's perfect. Everybody got their own problems. They're just not gonna post their problems on social media and what the things they're going through. They're
Yeah,
just not gonna do that.
absolutely. And so let's move on a little bit to the techniques of staying in our own lane. And so what do you think are like some techniques that we can use in order to, stay in our own lane and not compare ourselves to everyone else?
Yeah, I would say like a digital detox. Curate your feed, like stop following accounts that are just negative and they're not giving you any positivity,
Mhm.
and then move your life forward. I actually have like a save folder of like just all positive videos that I save, because sometimes you just want that. You don't want to always hear, because a lot of social media is negative. So try to follow accounts that are like really good for you and giving you some positive light. And again, follow people like who inspire growth, who inspire confidence, who inspire you want to do better. Kind of clean your feed from all that negative stuff that you listen to on like a day-to-day
Mhm.
basis.
Yeah, it's definitely smart. So like going to your explore page,
Hmm.
you people that have social media,
Hmm.
especially Instagram, go on your explore page and
Hmm.
look at that. See what on there triggers you. Do you see what's on there, kind of makes you feel uncomfortable or makes you, you know, compare yourself to somebody else, whether it's somebody that's super in shape and you might not know what enhancements they've taken or whatever the case may be, or somebody that's super rich, but you don't know how much debt there might be in. Along with those lines, they delete that. That was like what, last night or 2 nights ago, I saw something, didn't really wanted to see it. So I didn't realize there was like a not interested button on like Instagram. And so you guys can do that. So that way Instagrams, they want you to see everything, right? And they want to keep pushing that information. But once you tell them you're not interested, they're not going to push that stuff. So it's helpful when you're liking, the positive stuff, because then you'll start seeing that. I know we got probably more than one social media account,
Hmm.
and you see like this social media account, they know that I like, the positive, and so even
Hmm.
on our life jacket page,
Hmm.
you see what pops up.
Yeah, it's
Whereas,
all positive stuff.
yeah, whereas our personal pages
Yeah.
might not be the same.
Hmm.
And so that's one thing that you guys should probably even look on doing is go to people that are giving you positive feedback, like, subscribe, and share this page, get some positive stuff, and it'll help you out.
Okay, yeah. I think the second thing is like kind of practice gratitude daily. Like I said, like I gratitude journal. I do affirmations. I'm always thinking about things that I'm grateful for every day. Even in my Panda planner, I always write like three things I'm thankful for every day, and at the end is like three things that I accomplished today. So
Mhm.
really practicing a sense of like gratitude and things that you're really grateful for all the time definitely really helps. And shift your focus from what you lack to what you have.
Mhm.
And I've heard that before, where it's like instead of thinking about all the things don't have, think about what you do have. You can walk, you can hear, you can talk, you can see. Those are a lot of really good things that you don't really, you may not think about on an everyday basis, but you really gotta be grateful for like the real small things in your life too, that you can have it on your everyday.
Absolutely. And setting your own benchmarks,
Hmm.
defining the best version of that you can be, and defining your success, and understanding that that's your journey. And as you have that journey, we always talk about journalizing and tracking your progress, and your progress, not somebody else's, because you started from where you're starting and they started from where they started. So obviously you're not going to have the same results, or you might even meet to the same, but it's your journey that you need to compare yourself to. Hey, I didn't run 3 miles this week. Next week you ran 3 miles. Or hey,
Hmm.
I didn't squat or bench press this amount of weight 2 months ago. And now you're doing that and you're constantly getting better. But the comparison part is the thief of joy and happiness.
Yeah, and I think one of the last things was just celebrate small wins, like because confidence is built through consistency, not
Hmm.
comparison. So always worry about just to stay consistent. You gotta, and we probably have to make an episode on consistency in itself, but just constantly just staying consistent through it all. And like you said, those small wins, like hey, I got out of bed this morning. at 6 o'clock. Usually I get up at 7, but you're
Yeah.
trying to get up earlier. You're trying to get up earlier so you can maybe work out before your day gets started. That's a
Mhm.
small win. That may not seem like nothing to somebody, but for you, that's a win. So just celebrate always the small wins and reward your progress, no matter how big or small. Treat yourself. Buy a shirt, buy a cheat meal, or just do something you can reward yourself for what you've gone through. So that's another big thing too, is constantly just celebrating like the small wins, and don't let a win not be that big enough. Like you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. So don't worry about that. Yeah.
And then what we talked about in the other episode is, closing those doubts and stuff. That kind of same way with affirmations
Hmm.
and the way you think, and to tell yourself the positive parts. I am good enough. I do know where I'm going, and I am progressing to where I'm supposed to be. So things like that will help you close those negative thoughts of comparison.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then we can kind of go into our next segment, kind of like a real talk, like, a time where, I think about comparison, like how it reflected me. Like I would say, growing up, I was always like really, really thin. So I was always, comparing myself, be like, "Oh, I'm always going to be skinny forever." And,
Hmm.
I'm not in shape, everyone's buff and I'm skinny. And I was tired of that. But then I had to realize that, that came with consistency. So when I started in the gym, I think bless you were there, Carl. Like I did like a couple workouts during the summer, and I stopped, and I really got consistent maybe 4 years ago. And like
Yeah.
I stayed consistent, and I got to see the results. And now like I see myself in the gym, like curling heavy weight, lifting heavy weight, running long miles. So I think that was comparison, right? It lowered my self-confidence to want to step foot in the gym, because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm never gonna catch up. I'm never gonna be that strong, never gonna run that fast. And so I kind of had to switch my mindset to be like, no, I can do that. It's just gonna
Hmm.
be on my own time. And 4 years later, I'm probably in the
Yeah.
best shape of my life. So that's definitely something where I had to realize that, comparison was really stopping me from, being in my best shape and being my best person. So that's a time in my life where comparison really
Yeah.
affected me.
And yeah, that's a rough one, especially when everyone around you is, I guess doing better in the same journey that you're taking.
Mhm.
But you were able to stick through, and
Mhm.
like you said, best as you're older, you're progressing. And
Mhm.
4 years ago, you weren't as in shape as you are now, which is definitely a blessing. As you're getting older, you're getting better, which is things that don't happen too often. You know what I mean? For me though, I think my comparison wasn't necessarily online. It was more so in the military industry that I'm in. And it's hard when you're seeing people, get promoted that were like lower ranking than you,
Mhm.
and now they're higher ranking than you. That's definitely something that I fought with for a good amount. And I was like, man, how come this person did this, or how come that person did that? And instead of just understanding my own journey. And it took me a time to actually realize, I told myself, I was like, if things happen the way I wanted them to happen, then I would not have wanted it to happen. And I
Mhm.
say that because if I would have got promoted in this instance and been at certain rank, then I would have been deployed in an area that I didn't want to go to per se, or obviously I wouldn't have the choice, but I wouldn't actually want it to be over there during that time and a period in my life. And so
Mhm.
luckily, because I did not get promoted then, I did not get what I didn't want, even though that's what I wanted, was to not be over there. So it
Mhm.
kind of helped. And I, thank God that he knew the journey that needed to be taken
Yeah.
rather than
Mhm.
the journey that I thought I wanted.
Yeah, man. That's so important. Even to go off religion, like sometimes we look at people, and this is off topic, like oh, like they're not Christian and you are. You've been convincing them, but they'll be it on their own time.
Yeah.
You just gotta make sure you're consistent. Hey, you want to come to church, or hey, check out this video. We can't just think that because you know one thing I don't like is that when people think they're better than somebody and
Yeah.
you're comparing them as like, oh, well, I'm better than them. It's like, no, you're not. You were in those shoes a couple years ago, so you got to bring the next person up. So that's the way you can look at comparison in a positive way. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, never feel like you're bigger than anybody. It's like, I was in your steps, I was in your shoes too. Let me help build you up, her up, etc. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of an example I was thinking of.
Yeah. And so you could take it as a negative or a positive
Yeah.
thing. And
Hmm.
that's the thing, to always try to transfer those negative thoughts
Hmm.
into something positive. And do you have any closing thoughts for the viewers?
No, like really, if this video, really resonated with you, share it with somebody. Share it with somebody who is going through this and that could use this advice. And could use the episode to really, transform their life. That's why I make the podcast to really help people. So, if this video resonated with you and it's gonna help somebody, feel free to share it. It'll be on YouTube, it'll be on Spotify, it'll be on Apple Podcasts. So, feel free to share it with somebody. How about you?
Absolutely. And I just think that, your lane was meant for you. And your lane is your lane, whether or not, like, you ran track, you know what I mean? Like, you're in the most inner lane. Doesn't matter what the person all the way to the far right is. They might be ahead of you, but when you're running that 400 meter, it eventually catches up to your own journey. And so you got to just remember that your journey, your lane is for you, and nobody can do what you can do. So utilize the gifts that God's given you, utilize the knowledge that you have, the opportunities that are right in front of you, or create your own opportunities. And don't worry about what the other person is doing, but worry about what you're doing.
Yeah. So I think that's it for today.
Yeah.
That was solid. So until next time, peace.